All right, good morning, sixth grade. Today I'm going to give you guys a little virtual presentation as far as what it was like being a Civil War soldier, what it entailed, what it took to be a Civil War soldier. I usually do this during a period, myself and Mrs. Galizio, of like 60 minutes. I'm going to try to condense it as short as humanly possible. So if I go too fast, well, then just listen a little closer, and it's a YouTube video. You can rewatch it anyways, so there's all that. Some quick facts for you guys. 3 million Americans served in the Civil War between the North and the Confederacy. A little over 2 million for the Union Army or the North, and about 800,000 for the South or the Confederacy. The average age of these soldiers was about age 26, so very young, although they could have gone anywhere from 18 to 39. And in the Confederacy, which was more desperate, you'd see even younger troops than that. Their average size was about 5'8" and 143 pounds, so basically me in 7th grade, not the biggest guys in the world. How they were organized is you would sign up to join the Army in your town, and you would be put into a company, which was basically all of the men in your town thrown into a small company of about 100 men, and then from there they would put companies together to form a regiment of about 1,000, eventually a brigade of about 4,000, a division of about 12,000, a corps of about 36,000, and then an army would be about 50,000 and above. And an example of that would be, let's say, the Army of the Potomac or the Army of Northern Virginia. Okay. So those are the general makeup, just very quickly, of some of the Civil War soldiers. Most of them were white, Protestant, poor farmers on both sides, although there were African Americans that also did serve in the Civil War as well. Okay, now what they wore, I'm going to show you guys the standard issue Union Army. First, I'll start with what I already have on, okay? This is called a battle shirt here, basically just an average little like farm shirt that they would have wore in the 1860s. Then I got my breeches on. There's no real fancy name for these pants, but these were standard issue Union Army pants. And then the creme de la creme of the outfit is the shoes called brogans, which are just basically rough leather, very uncomfortable. I can't stress that enough, but brogans. Okay, now the next part of the Union uniform would be your shell jacket. Okay, this big wool jacket here, I'm gonna put it on. Now this stuff, guys, is made out of wool. It is heavy, it is uncomfortable, it is hot, it is itchy, it is disgusting, but here's also what it is: durable. It lasts, okay? The average Civil War soldier, when you were on campaign, you could march up to 20 miles in a given day, and you're going through forest and thickets and thorns and bushes, and you need something that's going to be built to last, literally. That's not just going to tear up, because replacement uniforms, especially for the Confederacy, ain't happening. All right, the next thing that I'm going to put on, actually I'll show you guys, is a hat. Every soldier had to have a head covering of some sort. The Union issued hat was a kepi. That's what this is called. It's almost like an 1860s baseball cap. I'm gonna leave it off because I'm having a good hair day, and that's very rare in quarantine for me, so I'm not gonna do that, but that's a kepi there, okay? Now I'm gonna put on my belt here, and it's got some important features. This might take me a minute here to get all sorted. All right, put on my belt as quick as I can. If you look closely at the buckle, it says US on it, which stands for obviously United States. This is a Northern Union issued uniform. Oh, you know what? Check that. Rewind. I'm gonna put my cap box on first. Sorry, it's still early, guys. Okay, this is my cartridge box. All right, I'm gonna put this on my right side here. What is in this? Ammunition, okay? I'll just show you very quickly. You have a little paper roll with gunpowder and a mini ball, and this is what you're loading your musket with when you're, fighting and firing during battle. So I got my cartridge box on my right side. Now I will put my belt on. Any good Civil War reenactor who's watching this is going to be like, "What a noob that I went to go put this on first." But hey, it's early. Okay, so here's my belt. It definitely helps if you put this on second. It helps secure your cartridge box in place. The belt buckle that says US for United States Army, for the Army of the North. Give me a second here. Some of this stuff's very unforgiving. All right, now parts of my belt. I got my bayonet, okay, which I use in close combat to fix onto the end of my rifle if I need to. Yeah, a little 3D experience during battle, okay? And then I have my cap box here, all right? Basically this contains, and I don't actually have an example, but it contains little copper caps that go on the nozzle of a rifle, and when you shoot, the hammer comes down, it hits the copper cap and makes a spark. Sparks the gunpowder, shoots the mini ball out, okay? So you need that to fire your gun. All right, so I got that so far. Next, I'll put on my haversack. This is all of my personal belongings in it, whether it be food that I'm giving out, okay? My plates, my forks, my cup to drink from, maybe some candles, maybe a little journal to keep, maybe paper to write a letter to my sweetheart back home, right? All my personal stuff's in my haversack, okay? Including my food, which, by the way, the food that they ate, not very good food. They might have been rationed salt pork, or a big cracker just made of flour and water called hardtack, that when it's all dried out, doesn't go bad, but it gets extremely hard and difficult. Not much bigger than the size of this cracker, but much thicker, much harder. And they basically lived off that. That's actually a garlic parmesan cracker from Aldi. It's very good, but you get the idea. They lived off crackers and coffee, essentially. Got my canteen now. I need this, right? If I'm hiking 20 miles a day or marching 20 miles a day, I'm gonna need water. And last but not least, ground cloth and a shelter half. When we set up shop for the night, I need somewhere to sleep. So I got a ground cloth of rubber to put beside, between myself and the ground for insulation. And then a shelter half in here. And I can link up with another soldier and use some of this cloth, and we can make an A-frame tent to sleep underneath. Okay, to keep our heads dry in case it starts raining. All right, and then of course you have your weapons, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, most of the time soldiers, what they did was drill, 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 and drill some more, practice constantly. One of the things that they practiced was order of arms. Your rifle in the Civil War was about 4 to 5 feet long and about 10 pounds heavy, okay? And it gets very tiresome when you're carrying that for 20 miles. They would drill an order of arms, different ways to hold your weapons during battle, okay? And I'm gonna show you that using this mock rifle. We're just gonna pretend this is a weapon of war. It's not a weed whacker, it's a weapon of war. But here's some of the order of arms. All these are for, guys, is to make sure that you give your arm a break in different position of holding. If you hold a 10-pound rifle like this all day, your arm's gonna basically fall off, right? So while they're marching, I'll run through some of them real quick. This is shoulder arms right at their side, okay? Excuse me, this is order arms right at their side here. Shoulder arms right here like this. This is mostly what you'll see them marching in. Right shoulder shift arms, they'd grab it and they'd put it up high on their shoulder. And I know this looks ridiculous and I'm doing this with a weed whacker, but hey, it's quarantine. Quarantine, times are weird, right? Then you have support arms, where they grab their gun, they bring it over to their left side and hold it across their body like this, okay? Trail arms, if they were marching through woods or something, they might hold their arms like this, their gun like this, so nothing could fall inside the barrel. Present arms, if I want to have it inspected by my commanding officer, okay? And then back shoulder arms. There's other ones there. I'm not going to get too crazy into it, just for time's sake. It took a lot to load your weed whacker / rifle in the Civil War. There were 9 steps, okay? And what you would do is you would get the command to load. That's the first step. You put it to your left side, okay? They'd say handle cartridge. You take out a cartridge that I showed you guys. Tear cartridge, bite it, rip it. Charge cartridge, stick it all down the barrel of your gun. Draw rammer. You would have a ramrod with your rifle that you pull out. Rammer, you want to make sure that that gunpowder and that mini ball is all the way in the bottom of the barrel. Return rammer, put it back. Prime, you take the rifle, take that little copper cap that I was talking about, cock the hammer back, put it on the nozzle, and the last step is shoulder arms. And you wait right at shoulder arms for your commanding officer to give you the order to fire. It is said that a good Civil War soldier could do all of that and aim and fire 3 times in a minute. I've tried it before. It is very hard. I don't think I've ever gotten it. Definitely gotten 2. 3 is tough, okay? Now, once I'm all loaded and we're fighting, okay, my commanding officer might say, ready? You put your feet in a T like this. Aim, fire, bang, right? And then come back to shoulder arms. Now, in battle lines, and this is how they fought in the Civil War, you would have a front rank and a rear rank. There would actually be somebody either in front of me or behind me, depending on height, right? So if I'm in the front rank, that's how I would shoot. If I was in the rear rank, when they'd say ready, I'd go like this, same thing with a T. Aim, I'd step up on the right shoulder of the guy in front of me, fire, bang. And when you're marching and you're shooting, you always want to make sure that you're about an arm length apart from your brothers in arm here, okay? The guy in front of me, I'm about this far away from him. If I'm not, right? If I am not, and I'm too far, when I shoot, the barrel's gonna be right by his ear and he's gonna go deaf and he's not gonna like that very much. And if I'm too close, that spark from that cap is gonna catch his hair on fire and he's not gonna be very happy with me either. They would drill this stuff over and over and over and over again to get good and efficient at it. And I have marching that I usually show you guys, marching techniques that I can't really do right now in my backyard. And it's tough to march with just one person. That looks ridiculous. But they would drill and practice over and over again. Think about it when you play sports. You guys have practice so that when you get to a game, you perform as best you can. Civil War soldiers did this all the time. Just some little last notes here. I'm checking my cheat sheet. Showed you the order of arms, the firing techniques. Now, the Civil War, okay, they had massive amount of casualties. It's estimated that over 620,000 people died during the Civil War. Okay, and that's almost half of all the casualties that Americans have suffered in war in general, in just one war. It is Americans versus Americans, but the Civil War was particularly destructive because they were using Napoleonic techniques of marching and fighting in lines, but with way advanced weaponry. These rifles had grooving, these mini balls had grooving, and they were traveling very fast, very accurate, and caused a lot of havoc. It's estimated that 1 in 5 of every every soldier that served during the Civil War didn't make it. So about 20% of all soldiers died. 2/3 of them actually died from disease. But like I said, the fighting, the close techniques with really accurate modern weaponry was a recipe for disaster. And the last thing that I want to leave you guys with is that I talked to you at the beginning when they first formed up, they would form a company of about 100 men from their town. So you have to understand that during battles, when they're fighting and people are dropping all around them, it's not random people that they don't know. That's sad enough, but it's their brothers, it's their sisters' husbands, it's their fathers, it's the local pastor, it's the blacksmith, it's everybody that they've ever known from their town. So the Civil War soldier experience is extremely unique and different than almost anything that we've seen, since. It's needless to say, after the Civil War, they kind of stopped doing that, or they stopped, organizing a whole town to go fight together because they realized entire towns were wiped out during the Civil War. That was my quick little cheat virtual guide to a Civil War's uniform and some of the things that they went through and some of the things that they had to do nonstop. Sorry about the speed and going so fast, but I also don't want to occupy you guys for too long. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we get to see each other soon. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments or you can email me, because I'm certainly sure that there's stuff that I didn't get to that if you have more questions, just reach out to me and ask. But all right, we start the Civil War. Enjoy. It's fascinating. It's a human tragedy for the American country, but also a really interesting story that can't wait to get to with you guys. All right, Norris out.